Correspondents from across the battlefields of the Foxhole War, this is PressCorps, live from just outside the Key in southeast Callahan's Passage. It's day 12, just past 13:15 hours. We are well on our way onto the front line towards the western edge of Whispering Gulch, where the Wardens have pushed deep into the ravine. Colonials on the back foot in this region, clinging onto Overlook Hill and Crumbling Post. We're going to try and get as close to the action as we can as the wider war has just begun. Day 12, still very young, still very fresh into this war. In the wider campaign, Colonials have dug into the central regions, taking complete control of the upper heartlands as well as the Deadlands in the central mainland. It has been a while since we've last broadcasted, considering the week in between Wars 2 and 3, the current war. We'll try and give you as much insight as possible. Coming across the first outposts here, we notice very layered defenses here in Whispering Gulch as the Wardens take no chances. Whispering Gulch in particular, home to many stalemates between the Key and Crumbling Post in wars past. Considering the lack of any flanks, I don't see Whispering Gulch being anything past a meat grinder. First shots here on West Whispering Gulch. We notice some light skirmishing happening between Warden and Colonial forces. In fact, we'll stay behind the foxhole line. Second Warrant Officer Moore of the outfit PGL, you're live broadcasting around the world on Twitch radio services. How has the front line been so far? And as you can see, Second Warrant Officer Moore very, very intent on focusing on making sure this front line is as established as he can make it. Warden engineers taking no chances here. Multiple light pillboxes as well as several foxholes, and it looks like some of them even undefended, or at least not automated. Whispering Gulch surprisingly quiet considering the meat grinder that happen around here. And as you can see in the wider region, looking at Callahan's Passage as a whole, Crumbling Post and Overlook Hill, as I mentioned earlier, being the only two towns held by colonial forces in the region. A very thin front line for them. Wardens enveloping most of the rest. Oh, excuse me, I've been reading this very wrong. The colors on my eyes are not doing very well. Colonials very, very thin and strung out, as they have also taken hold of Solus Gorge. So make that colonial towns, 3 colonial towns held by Collies in Callahan's Passage, Crumbling Post in the southwest, Overlook Hill in the central area, and northwest Solus Gorge. Therefore making this a fairly even 40 to 60 map average. Wandering ever closer to the front line, colonial forces just a ways away, within eyesight. And Wardens continue their skirmish, attempting to delay as much of the front line development for colonies for collies as possible. Colony sounding a very tasty snack, but we will stay with it.
Push up, boys. Push up right now. Both of you guys push up to the right.
Medic.
Yeah, I need a medic.
And I am embedded here with with Warden forces, and they are pushing westward.
Push up, boys, push up.
Nice.
Full force, push up, push up, push
And
up.
another media member, I Saw a Bear, syndicating the broadcast here. Much thanks to I Saw a Bear. You can check him on YouTube/I Saw a Bear. Many helpful videos, and to the wider updates of the colonial war, colonial side of the war, if I'm guessing that correctly. In addition, so much footage, so much war footage from I Saw a Bear. Always a pleasure to see him out on the battlefield. And Warden forces breaking through, funneling out of western Whispering Gulch, able to funnel out into a much wider front. And looking at the development of the colonial garrison here on southeast Crumbling Post, seems an array of walls and several layers of gates, but not much defenses I can find. It's all infantry based, no foxholes, just wall after wall. And considering we are still very fresh, very early into the war here, only day 12, no tier 3 walls that we can speak of, so lots of opportunities for Wardens to break through and flank. Colonials counterattacking now as Warden forces dissipate. In fact, there is nothing standing between me and Colonials in the area, considering I'm still wearing the Warden uniform.
Hey,
might be time to fall back.
Hey, wait, Canadian. Guess what I found?
Oh. Officer to get nigh on cat,
I
sharing
just
medical
stole
supplies
Dawson's
with
fucking dead
his
Collie.
allies.
I also got a tourniquet on me and some nades. Along with the radio, so take the radio.
Officer Cadet Nyan Cat 13312, you've been here at Whispering Gulch for quite some time on the western end. How has the front been faring for you?
Oh, so let me give you the story. Let me give you this big scoop down here, pal.
I'm always down for a scoop.
Alright, so we were at Cumberland earlier, see? And unfortunately, after we cleared that out, we went up to Overlook. Unfortunately, we got pushed back after they got FMG and 15 infantry, and they've been kicking us back ever since. They also set up an artillery post and a lot of defenses to the west of Crumbling. That's how they took down Crumbling Town Hall. For right now, we're holding off as much as we can.
We're more than holding off. We are
the north.
pushing them back to their capital, dude. We're pushing
And
them back to the
correct. We are
capital.
slowly pushing them back to the capital. That is the
brother.
current report here.
Hell yeah,
What
brother.
is this, the 1950s?
Sergeant Canadian William, giving us also another interjection into another side of the war. All scoops, well paid, in command.
Canadian, I love you.
Also,
I'm sorry. Don't hate me.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry,
And
man.
PressCorps,
I love
if
you
you
too,
want
buddy.
a good scoop, you might want to
I will
head up
forever.
to Solas Gorge
I love
area
you
near
so much.
Craig's Road.
Yeah,
You
I
might
love
be able
you
to
too.
talk to the 82DK members holding out up there. We're just
Copy.
bunch of randoms.
Is that a fairly tight conglomerate of 82DK, or is it all spread out?
It could potentially be spread out. For what I'm seeing up there, there seems to be a lot of... Actually, I think all of 82DK is hopped off for the night, or it's all randoms. Well, you can consult whoever's trying to command
Yo,
up there.
don't call me a random, dude. I'm a professional.
If you
on
want,
the
you
front
can
line.
come back. You can stay around here and keep up with this scoop, or you can go up to the north and get their scoop.
Indeed. So, I think I'll stay in the area, considering. But do you have any plans on breaking through the colonials, through the colonial side of the defense
Hell
here in
yeah,
the garrison?
brother.
Because I don't see
Hell
any.
yeah, brother.
Yeah, boy.
Hey,
I got you,
dude. Anyways, we are very low on medical supplies, unfortunately. And if you
Well,
want to
Hell
give me the
no,
scoop,
brother.
and
We
if
got
you want,
numbers,
I can give
dude.
you the
Let's
scoop
go
about
save
what happened
numbers.
at Deadlands earlier.
Hell yeah, brother.
Actually, it looks like we lost Liberation Point at Deadlands. That's not good.
Actually, that's quite true. That is a correct report. Colonials possibly fighting back
Hold on,
as
let me give you
the
some
time
info,
zones
man.
begin to shift here. If you're just joining us, it is day 12. Just
there you go, man.
about
Take
here,
this, man.
1713. Reporting live from Callahan's
Try and be
Passage,
careful.
west
We
of
don't
Whispering
want,
Gulch.
You don't want a press member dying. It's bad rep.
Alright. One
Hey,
Come
grab
on,
push.
give me that. Come on.
One grab.
Just a reminder to our listeners, if you have a war story you'd like me to read on the air, then please send it to PressCorps Gaming at Gmail, which is our address. We'll be happy to read any letters from the front.
God damn it.
Medic.
I didn't get his med kit. How the fuck?
You
I picked
fucked
it up.
I'm bleeding
I done fucked up.
Let's go again, brother. Go.
Cover. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit.
Oh, you're gonna get me killed, brother.
And it seems in between the two Warden attacks here, Collies have put down multiple foxholes in an attempt to slow down the Warden advance. A very smart idea considering the thin passageways
Alright, I got
of
two med kits,
walls placed by Collies.
Alright.
Alright.
And in this artificial ravine comprised of tier 2
Hey, so
walls,
Canadian, grab a med kit. Grab the med kit. over
blood
here.
coats the winter surface.
Brothers. Alright, here we go.
So how are you enjoying your frontline experience? I wouldn't go any farther than this. I don't think we have any people.
Fucking don't be. Have some fucking balls, dude.
You need to advance. Gain ground.
Advance the ground.
Oh, look at this guy.
Comrades.
And a second wind caught by Warden forces in the area, but I'm not quite sure how they're going to break through the colonial foxholes without HE grenades, considering the Collies have garrisoned the foxholes.
Oh, I'm shot. Okay.
And in an attempt to not draw as much attention, I will be attempting to lower my voice. And it looks like night has just begun to fall. It is just past 1800 hours on day 12. Warden forces now swelling to about 10 plus troops in the area, breaking out of Whispering Gulch. This is live on the air. It's live radio on Twitch radio services.
Ah, nice. All right. Welcome. Oh shit. Get over here. Oh.
And colonial forces rifling down the foxholes in the area. A very concerted push, a very careful push, which is exactly what is needed considering Collies are still garrisoning the foxhole.
I'm in. Move up now.
And as the Wardens continue their steady advance westward, one has to wonder if the Collies might consider a counterflank. There are some holes in the wall. Indeed, I'm looking here on the northern passageway out of Whispering Gulch. There is a hole with a wide open field that Collies might be able to utilize. Even Wardens, either side can utilize in order to gain the flank. Multiple outposts now, or barracks. They might be, yes, they are barracks. Multiple barracks as well as an outpost now in sight here on Whispering Gulch, West Whispering Gulch, slowly turning into southeast Crumbling Post. If you're just joining us, it is day 12, 1847 hours, here in Callahan's Passage west of Whispering Gulch. This is PressCorps, and we have been looking at the Warden advance through Callahan's Passage for quite about half an hour now.
Don't worry, you're asking down me.
Half an hour in real time.
Get out there, keep shooting lads. Stop pushing this line. Run back to the fucking Kingdom Convoy. There's a med kit here and...
Officer Cadet Nyan Cat attempting to rally the troops as the push begins to petter out. Backpack weapons and equipment strewn all over the place. Backpacks from both factions. The square backpacks belonging to the Wardens, a lighter brown, meanwhile the colonial backpacks a more obtuse shade and a darker color.
One of his shells dropped and I thought it was a fucking
Right. Come on. It's cold.
Keep fire, don't touch it. Hey, cover fire! Cover fire! Alright, once you get up fucking up on this wall. What the fuck? Why didn't it? Come on, what the fuck? It didn't even run. Lord Christ, that's a lot of FMGs. Holy shit, this is a wall.
Just a reminder that our connection is very spotty out here on the front. Therefore, any inconsistencies in terms of our audio may pop up every now and then. We'll stay with you as long as we can.
Be careful over here, Press. There's not that many people. You might get shot.
Have you considered the flanks? Now, I see a lot of holes in the wall.
Those holes have been there for a while. We're just trying to kick them back for right now. We're not focusing as much as on our flanks. We just need to kick them back somewhat.
And from our current position, the scrap field in Crumbling Post.
Let me die.
The southern scrap field at Crumbling Post now visible within 90 meters with my binoculars here from our current position here in the Warden attack. And to update on our situation here at Callahan's Passage, Wardens holding on to about 60% of the land mass here, holding on to the Key, the Latch, Whitechapel, Lokenberth, as well as Cragstown, and have pushed all the way through Whispering Gulch, holding on to that thin ravine and the vital supply line westward, going now into Crumbling Post. Meanwhile, Colonials, on the flip side, holding on to Crumbling Post, Overlook Hill, and Solace Gorge, their primary headquarters in the region. Solace Gorge in the northwest part of the map. And we're looking at HEs now being deployed by Warden forces on that Collie gate, that Collie Tier 2 gate. And despite the Collie counterattack, Wardens again swelling to about 10 plus troops. It seems this attack is not petering out anytime soon. And if I'm correct, there are some boxes here on the side of the road captured by the Warden forces, and it looks like they have been either resupplied or left behind by the Collies. Either way, Warden's making very good use of scavenging.
Hey, I know a flank over here. Killed a field machine gun. They're trying to roll it up in a gate over here. Somebody want to come?
Second Warden Officer Dope attempting to rally troops for a flank on the north end of Whispering Gulch. Meanwhile, Wardens begin to build foxholes of their own, a very, very smart and tried and true tactic, considering their slow but steady push into Crumbling Post.
Hey, Cindy, we're trying to take down that pillbox.
Medic, I need a medic.
The pillbox is nearly down. Alright, be careful, there's a lot of people. Oh, fuck, they have H here. You fucking kidding me? Hey, there's
Thank you.
gas mask. Grab some if you need it. Try and take out that outpost, guys.
Wardens now firing upon the Collie outpost that is here on southeast Crumbling Post, as the scrapyard is now 50 meters away with my binoculars here.
Leading it over here.
S&E fire into there. Keep laying them in. Keep laying it up.
Wardens just peppering submachine gun fire into the colonial position as Collies attempt to resalvage as much of the area as they can. They do have multiple layers of gates, or at least they had multiple layers of gates. However, the Wardens have been pushing through. It looks like 2 destroyed gates so far.
Cover fire. Nice job.
Collie outpost taken down as the Wardens move in to take down the third gate, which, if my sight range is correct,
Lordy,
could be
there's
the
a lot of
last
people.
gate before Crumbling Post itself is open to attack. looking at about 15 troops here for the Warden forces here on
Do not go
southeast
around the
Crumbling
wall.
Post.
Do not go around the wall. Do not go around the wall. There's a pillbox and a foxhole up there. Like 2 foxholes and a pillbox. Oh god.
Anyone with
Oh shit, what's up, boys?
Be careful around this wall, Steve. There is a lot of shit. Oh, hey Steve, heal me up. Or something. Oh, SWAT.
No
thank you.
meds, dude, no meds.
Hey, there's a med kit right here and a trauma kit right there, and and if you look on the dead bodies, there's a bunch of med supplies lying around. Try and be a medic, if possible.
Yeah, and it's.
Because everybody needs a medic. SMG
Watch
gunner
out.
around this fucking wall. Keep hitting that pillbox. Clear these fuckers out.
Community, trauma kit, trauma kit. Oh shit.
Considering this intricate network of walls that the Colonials have set up in order to delay the Warden forces, it looks like this has turned into another corner game as Colonials and Wardens are both peeking around the corners.
Don't worry, I got you. Come back to me.
Sorry, I didn't see I was alive. I just saw the
No,
fucking
it's okay.
haze.
Excuse me, Mr.
Alright.
Colonial, can you hear me? Through the wall.
Huh.
May have been killed.
I wonder.
Oh,
Colonial howitzer now firing on the Warden position as Wardens continue to move forward, although they may be faltering. I'm not quite sure what the next move here as the shells are coming in danger close into the area.
No, they're attacking the north side. They're attacking.
And a Warden foxhole under construction taken down by the Colonial howitzer fire. Very smart move in order to delay this push considering how slow and steady it has been. Though we will update you on that steady part as the fire continues. Collie is now firing upon the second foxhole the Wardens have built.
Come here.
Let's stay away from.
Oh, he got
2 Wardens just blown to Kingdom Come by that last blast, and I am noticing a significant reduction of Wardens in the area.
Oh,
This
Oh,
could mean the
fucking-
end of the attack,
Move, just
considering
move,
Knight
keep
is
running,
now
just keep running,
squarely
just keep moving,
in,
just keep moving, just keep
has
moving, just keep
squarely
moving.
entrenched itself
Don't
into
stop
the
moving,
fight.
Don't stop moving.
I got you.
Jesus Christ. Where the fuck did everyone go? We had like 10 people here earlier.
I don't know.
That already must
Live
be
from
scared.
southeast Crumbling Post, Callahan's Passage. It is day 12/22/30.
Resume,
and you're listening to PressCorps.
operations, guys.
Just a quick update in the Deadlands, which was 100% owned by Warden forces. The Colonials have managed to break into the Deadlands and take Liberation Point. We'll keep you updated on that map as we continue the push here, following the Warden push, just coming out of Whispering Gulch.
Okay, that's our Mr. Funny supply crate before we go.
We are halfway between Whispering and Crumbling,
Shots going right in that thing.
and it looks like the Colonial howitzer in the southern scrapyard.
Oh, okay, that was an interesting round shot. He glanced at my fucking arm, but he took off a good chunk of my arm, apparently.
Colonial defenders able to do-si-do around
This
two
is
gates,
an
separated by about
Oh, this is where it's
two
saying anyway.
two wall segments. And here come the shotguns.
Enemy shotgunner across the road!
Shit.
Stay back from the wall, get back from that wall.
And the howitzer fire has stopped.
Be fucking careful, guys, there's a fucking shotgunner on the
That could mean a limited number of shells, or they may be holding on to it if, or just in case, the one attack kicks into high gear once again.
Holy shit. Holy fuckerino.
Officer Cadet Nyakat, what do you see out there?
death, destruction. We have a couple foxholes, but they got a lot of people around here. They got some people on that side and some people up north, it looks like. 'Cause I got fucking tagged up by something.
And it seems the colonial counterattack possibly manifesting itself
Shotgun
as...
around the gate. SMG gunner and shotgun around the gate. Hey, Vinny! I need your assistance over here.
manifesting itself as a night assault. Very smart move considering the short sight ranges and
Hey, try and get Cindy down there. I'll cover.
The acquisition of shotguns.
Thank you.
Boys, we might have an FMG on our hands.
And that is confirmed, an FMG owned by the Colonials moving out of the second gate towards the north.
Potentially. Oh, you scouted it?
Coming just past
Yeah,
the gate, it is now in the area. It is now within shot distance of the Wardens.
Yep, it is.
And there it goes.
Holy shit. Nades. We need frag nades.
Just putting it out there. Don't forget the command.
Alright. Hey, Press, can you go run back and grab nades?
You're hurt, by the way.
We don't have defenses behind us. Lamo! We're not pushing up too. We're not going to be pushing very far. We're going to just turtle here for a bit. Just mainly need people building defenses.
How you doing, Colonial? I can hear you. How you doing on that FMG right there? Mighty fine, if I do say so. Oh God.
Seems Officer Cadet Nyan Cat adopting an accent, possibly a subterfuge, or to hold on to some sort of flanking move. I don't quite know. Now, we were able to pick up some of the communiques between each other on the gun. It looks like they may not be pushing forward.
Hold the line!
Colonials desperately holding on to their two gates. The only way into Crumbling Post, southeast Crumbling Post. And it is without doubt the Warden attack onto the town has stalled, considering a combination of multiple factors, including the howitzer, nighttime, the FMG, and the lack of flanking, allowing Colonials ample time to rally a defense. Collie's moving the FMG behind the gate, possibly for repair. And we are just a half hour past day 13.
Oh, what the hell? I got hit from friendly. Hey, Press. Do you have a med kit on you?
I do not have any medical supplies.
Grab that.
Someone heal this man?
I dropped medical supplies.
Heal me,
grab it.
my friend, heal me,
Or
heal
not,
me,
okay.
heal
Hey,
him.
You guys want to get to town? I know a way.
We're trying to clear out their fucking defenses down
I know a
here.
flank around.
I think
inside
defenses
the
are
town.
disabled.
Everybody follow.
Over here.
Come with me.
Wardens making a play onto the buffer zone between the second and third gate.
Holy fuck. That's more SMGs than I want to deal with.
Warden forces attempting to rifle down the foxhole. Try to gain an edge, hold on to the gate, the other side of the gate. If Wardens can hold on to one side of the gate, they may be able to push through.
Gate down with mounted.
Howitzer shots. Danger close onto the Warden position, attempting to take down the foxhole.
Hey, I have
The only Warden foxhole in the vicinity that I can see.
Quit making Iowa good.
Just two people on the other side of the gate. I mean, next to the gate. Wait, guys, up here, up here. Right here.
Collie's firing upon their own
Gates
gate.
are
Actually,
about to
I take
fall.
that back. There's 2 layers of
Gates
gates.
are about to fall.
Everyone, line up. Everyone here, stop on me. Alright,
Wardens
get
have
ready.
now completely taken control of the buffer zone here, squarely holding on to their side of the colonial gate. Now it turns into a game of chicken.
Gas.
Hey, Iron, come back here, Iron.
On a Warden team of about 7.
Alright. Hey, get ready. Go.
Almost.
Wardens attempt to blitz through to the other side of the gate. There is space on either side of the gate, which Wardens can move in, but it is covered.
Yes.
Good job, guys.
Yo, get my guy.
I'll be back. Yes.
And to describe the situation here, there are 2 gates
I'm gonna get through this. Yeah, you're not.
coming into Crumbling Post. 2 gates coming into Southeast Crumbling Post, of course, held onto by the Colonials with the Wardens on attacking. The first gate is within line of the wall segments for a typical gate that most teams would want to move around. However, the second gate is oddly placed. You see, it was actually 2 layers of gates. One owned by the Wardens, one owned by the Colonials. Now, the Warden gate was in line with the wall segments. Meanwhile, the Colonial gate just behind the wall segments, and therefore there are now 2 openings on either side of the gate, which the Wardens attempted to blitz through. However, the Colonials, with some foresight, have put down foxholes and have placed down an FMG, and it doesn't look like the Wardens are going to be breaking through. The Wardens are going to be breaking through either gate anytime soon. However, it is barbarians at the gates for the Colonials. We will see if they may be trying any counterattacks, any around from another entrance that we have not seen yet. Same goes for the Wardens. Now, the thin, narrow passage I was describing earlier, just a couple hours ago, or maybe an hour ago, I'm not quite sure. Time moves slower when you're in battle.
We need a lot.
It's much
Especially
faster
because
when you're in
if
battle.
they pull back at all, they'll fucking destroy us up there. Because I'm pretty sure they double our numbers, if not 1.5 times our numbers up there, and they have FMG. So either way, they're on the
Everybody.
better end of
Yeah,
this situation.
they threw a field machine gun not too long ago, but they ended up getting inside the city. They had to push back.
Second Ward Officer Dope, have you managed to find any flanks or any ways into Crumbling Post other than here?
Yeah, I do. No way.
No way in. No way in for the Wardens in the area. We're live here from Southeast Crumbling Post, Callahan's Path. It is about 02:30
Want me to
hours,
show you?
I need a medic.
day 13.
Medic.
Meanwhile, in the Deadlands, where Colonials formerly held 90 or at least 100% of the region, and we just reported an hour and a half ago, that Colonials took hold of Liberation Point, their only town in the area, a very Warden-heavy region, but it looks like Colonials managed to not only take the town, but also dig into the town, because I have not seen that town go down at all. Liberation Point on the central west area of the Deadlands. I don't have
think they
any.
understand that they're burning SS, dude.
I don't have any correspondence from within the Deadlands. Howitzer shots now beginning here. I don't have any correspondence with anyone in the Deadlands, but it does look like if the Colonials have held on to such a Warden-heavy region, I can only surmise that it is a concerted effort and not a standard raid.
Bad idea and a half. God. Careful, FMG. Sydney.
Yeah, I'm a lucky boy.
Oh. Wait, hey guys.
And some small victories being attained by Wardens as they make some very small pokes in and out of Crumbling Post in whatever hole they can find in the cracks in the walls. Of course, nothing concerted or nothing truly substantial. They may be waiting until morning. And once the day breaks, it is possible that a colonial counterattack may also be in order. But considering how stretched out and thin the Collie line is, I'm not quite sure they'll be able to pull that off. Just a reminder, if you've got a war story to tell to our listeners here, write in to PressCorpsGaming@gmail. We'll read your letters, your war letters, live on the air here for all to hear, for all to listen. I say hear too much, I just realized this. It's kind of one of those filler words.
That's not yet.
But as we reach 0330 hours, Wardens holding on to the buffer zone between gates 2 and 3. As an explanation for earlier, Colonials, they built a network of walls and gates, 3 layers of gates, between Whispering Gulch, the thin ravine, and Crumbling Post. As a long, treacherous, and arduous march for the Wardens into one of their most pivotal towns, an entryway into the region. In fact, if Wardens manage to hold on to Crumbling Post, that takes one of their supply points, one of the supply routes into Overlook Hill. And if Crumbling Post falls, the Wardens may be able to blitz up through the Crumbling Passage and possibly hit Overlook Hill from behind. I'm not quite sure. I have not left the area since I've arrived here in Callahan's Passage, but Overlook Hill, there may be a way in, or at least a way in for Wardens to blitz if they can take Crumbling. All of this, of course, negated if the Colonials have the foresight to establish a defense on the southern border of Overlook.
Gas.
It's bumping.
Hey guys, you enjoying shooting Kate? I built an extra shrine
What's up,
for you.
Excuse me, Mr. Colonial, can you hear me?
That was on the stuff we're doing this wrong.
Mr. Colonial, can you hear me through the walls?
Yes, I can.
You're live on the air here. This is PressCorps live on Twitch radio services. How have things been holding up within Crumbling Post ever since the Warden assault?
Very well,
Is that
actually
press
better
guy?
than we used to.
Yo, is that press guy?
Yes, you're live on the air.
what a
You're live
press
on the
guy.
air.
Well,
That's press guy.
Goodbye.
This guy really outside the gate. Oh, this guy that opened the gate. Yeah, the guy really outside the gate. You need some information, press.
Oh, thank you. Heal me, Daddy.
What the hell is going on up here? Oh,
Oh, gas.
And Warden
Hey, guys.
forces well
Shoot that.
within, well beyond the range of the
Get ready.
howitzer, unable to hit anything
oh
beyond
wait,
75
what
meters.
What had 8% health on it? What the hell? Something has 8% health right here. I don't know what it is.
I got
I don't know if it's a sandbag or something. Okay, let me get up and down here because I'm fucking reading. Oh no! Oh! No! Oh!
Yeah, the server survived, but the lag was like
Yeah, I fucking died right there. I thought I was gonna have to go back, man. All the way from
I think we need a BMAT to build some pillbox foxhole to hold this position.
And it is the waiting game as a whole crowd of Colonials and Wardens attempt to skirmish each other down through the 2 gates here outside of Crumbling Post, southeast Crumbling Post. Wardens chipping away at the Tier 2 walls, as well as the 2 gates in the area, the only impedance between, that may have been misuse of the word, the only blockade between them and
Cindy,
Crumbling.
you're living on the wild side, my friend.
Meanwhile, Colonials are attempting to repair as much damage as they can. And they're actually very successful at it, considering the scrap fields, 2 scrap fields in the town, still secure within the Crumbling Post walls, in addition to the refinery just beyond the gate. The refinery is within 11 meters of my current position. That is just beyond high explosive HE grenade range, but if Wardens can take down this gate, they may be able to also destroy the refinery.
It'd be nice if we had like actual logistics coming here, because I don't think we've had logistics come here for a while. And you on the other side of the south, I'm rebuilding this. I hear you. I know you're rebuilding this shit, NG. I hate you. You're the pain of my existence.
I bet you Colonials get your tins from Home Depot.
What the fuck?
And 2 watchtowers being built here on both sides of the wall. One Warden watchtower, 6 meters away from the Colonial watchtower being built on the other side.
Hey, heal. Press, kill me. Press, pick up the medkit and heal.
Don't pick it up.
Need a bandage? I have a bandage.
Anyone.
Let me in. I was in there, man.
Our tower is better
Thank
than
you.
yours.
Oh, to the south, to the south.
And the gate
Oh,
is
God,
open.
come
The
on.
gate
Stop
is
walking
open.
right in front of me, please.
Oh, I'm bleeding out.
Get over here, get over here.
Get back.
Heal me, heal me.
All I want to do is kill you, but you shot me.
You walked right in front of me. I was trying to shoot that guy. You just kept walking back and forth.
You shot me in the back.
Yeah, because you were walking right in front of me. It's not the best thing.
In. We gotta use the other.
Colonials in a very precarious situation. Their refinery and their southern scrapyard just beyond this wall, just 10-15 meters away from the Warden position. Now, from the looks of it, just from my preliminary scouting with my binoculars, it doesn't look like they've managed to pull up any
Can we just kill this?
garrison houses.
Somebody wants to know a different.
Okay, we should shoot after 8. After 8. Enemy! Aid!
Owie.
Be careful, he's still around that fucking corner.
No! Scone, get over here.
Guys, why don't you just all rush us? I'm sure we can't
Yeah,
hold
we're not fucking idiots. We know
Guys,
there's like 15
guys.
of you on the other side of this thing.
And psychological
got a great
warfare
idea.
being deployed by the Colonials.
There's like 15 people on the other side of this. We're getting murked, and
There's
they're
like
all
fucking
foxholes.
35 of us. Just charge. Quit being pussies.
There's less of us than them. We're going to die.
Come over.
They're
If
in
one man
fucking-
could take an entire plane with a box cutter, I think 15 of us could do what they could do.
And a very
if you wanna
interesting
go on the
analogy
other side
made.
of this burn,
I'm
then
not
you can
quite sure if it
fucking see how
holds up
bad it is
considering the
out there.
battlefield situation, but analogy
If you
being
want
made
to
anyway.
go
I know a
and
different
walk
way.
over and see how fucking
I know a
bad it is
different
over
way.
there, go right ahead.
At the end, we gotta use my way.
And it seems
Yeah, I
the
figured
troop
that'd be
suggesting
better
the
idea.
charge, not taking the charge himself.
Aw, damn it.
Interesting enough. It's the morning of day 13, 06:30 hours here, live from Callahan's Passage, southeast Crumbling Post. In the wider war, Colonials hold on to their 3 western regions, but just beyond that, Wardens hold on to the central regions of Upper Heartlands and Deadlands. And of course, we're reporting live from Callahan's Passage. It's about a 60-40 split onto the Warden side. Deadlands, the Deadlands itself a largely Warden-held region, but about 3 hours ago, maybe more close to the 2, 1.5. I'm not. Time eludes me every now and then, but 1.5 hours ago, Colonials were able to capture the town of Liberation Point, the only town in the region, at least from my preliminary map readings. And considering it has not fallen in such a Warden-heavy region, I can only presume it is a concerted attack and hold into the Deadlands. Meanwhile, in the eastern regions, eastern Warden-held regions of Weathered Expanse, Endless Shore, and Umber Wildwood, 100% control, and of course the supplies being churned out as usual. A very sturdy line of defenses on each region's border, which brings us back here to what is just in my purview. here on southeast Crumbling Post, where Wardens continue to mass for the morning attack. Daylight has absolutely broken, 100% visibility all around. Colonials holding onto the howitzer and FMG positions, but the Warden numbers mounting.
Press, what can you see?
Well, I can see the lack of garrison houses, in addition to a howitzer position in the southern scrapyard. But it seems that we are beyond the range of the howitzer, unable to fire on our current position.
Hey, watch out to the south! Watch out to the south area! This guy running around like... Oh, Jesus!
Oh my gosh.
Oh, God, stay back!
Oh.
Stay back!
And a large
you might
assortment of
wanna
fragmentation
back up out of
grenades, wiping out about half the Warden forces in the area.
Oh,
I
shit,
don't expect them to be truly deterred, considering the very, very near redeployment zone for Wardens, but quite an embarrassing play. Oh my goodness, a massive pile of ammunition, guns, and backpacks in such tight quarters. Just a reminder not to bunch up. Not to bunch up and watch your spacing out on the battlefield.
Sorry. Fucking I'm so sorry, man. I'm so fucking sorry. They're pushing up hard.
Colonial counterattack, taking advantage of that huge grenade blast,
Move back,
or at least highly effective grenade blast. Wardens losing onto that buffer zone between gates 2 and 3, now moving past gate 2 as the Warden reinforcements meet them.
I'm getting ran back because I can't get healed. Press, can you pick up the med kits? Or Senny. Thank you, Senny. Yeah, they pushed us back from that position. They chucked tons of nades and killed like fucking 6 or 5 of us.
We need to flank. There is a good flanking opportunity through the south.
Yeah, but they're gonna blitzkrieg it. They're gonna push us straight down south as soon as we give them any leeway. That's the issue. True. If we flank, we won't have enough men to keep them from just going.
And that is a correct assessment, and it is compounded by the fact that the Wardens are unable to establish any kind of foxhole network, considering the colonial howitzer.
Hold on, on foxhole. Alright, this is somewhat safe except for the fact that they have a fucking FMG. Oh lordy, oh lordy, oh lordy, oh lordy, oh lordy, oh lordy, oh lordy.
One has to wonder if the Wardens have frags for themselves. Warden riflemen taking up point again, but cut down immediately by the FMG, as well as support by colonial forces, colonial infantry on its flanks. And the second buffer zone between gates 1 and 2, now looking more and more colonial every waking
I'm
moment.
bleeding to death, please. I have medkit, anyone got medkit?
Back here.
Oh my fucking god. Do you have trauma?
Nope.
Oh,
Thank
I was about
God.
to grab it. Okay.
Thank you, God.
Hey,
I
Eldest,
love you.
get over here.
Come on, back here we
Just
got more
fucking, if we
defenses.
can take out that FMG, it would mean it'd make a world of difference. Oh,
Oh,
God.
God.
Move. Move
Back,
back.
back.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
And a textbook
We'll hold
steady
position here then.
Oh no, son.
and a textbook steady push made by colonials down a thin, narrow passageway as the FMG takes the brunt of hits as well as damage output as Collie infantry takes up the flanks. For the Wardens in the area, it looks nigh impossible unless they can get frag grenades.
Get on the other side of the fence.
Shit.
Get on the other side of the fence. Move.
Someone get in this foxhole.
That's my fault, man. That's my fault. Need some healing. My whiskey's through.
I'm out.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. They're off their gun. They're pulling back.
Hey, can someone get me up?
And a brave Warden shotgunner able to take out one of the
Press 3.
2 FMG operators, causing a momentary fallback towards the first buffer zone.
Left click, yeah.
There you go. After
But the
that,
colonials have
drop
not
it, so
wasted
tap it
a
all.
moment as Collie engineers re-establish a foxhole network in that buffer zone.
Yeah, you can leave the medical to me if you want.
I'm combat medic. I got trauma and all that, so that's my role.
And blood splotches dotting the landscape. It's almost a polka dot pattern. I can't quite see white without seeing red. And as one can expect in such a thin, narrow passageway of wall networks and gates, it is a back and forth between which either side can properly execute the right moves at the right time. It's close quarters combat, live from southeast Crumbling Post, Callahan's Passage. It is day 13, 0900 hours.
Someone grab the med supplies on this guy. Someone grab the med supplies on him over here and grab the medic.
We have a rifle.
Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god.
And a substantial change in landscape
Okay, look,
for
yeah.
such a back and forth. One of the
Sean,
walls have been
This
gunned
is
down,
the first time I've ever seen.
widening the entryway into the buffer zone.
Don't go into it unless you have a man.
Gas guys.
Try and get the. Cover me. Yeah, come here, come to me. Yeah, that's how it goes.
You guys have my gas mask?
Yes, please do. Extra. Drop it for me.
I almost forgot the drop button. I haven't played this game in so long.
That's okay, thank you. Do you need it? I mean, if this is your only one, I don't care.
And colonial forces have now fallen back into their gates. Wardens able to retake their side of the walls just outside Crumbling. And it's clear as day between here and the walls. Meanwhile, I'm taking a close eye on that howitzer, that Collie howitzer position for any movement.
Surprisingly, all the gas masks are on colonial backpacks.
Yeah, they keep throwing gas at us.
Probably the funnest thing I played is shotgun gas mask. A bunch of gas grenades.
Oh, fuck.
Ow.
Yeah, behind the walls for a little while.
Yo, how the hell did I just
Can you
survive
go
an
away?
explosion?
That Jewish privilege.
I think that I should be missing a few limbs.
Ones again entering the breach on the two sides of the gate, not quite in line with the wall segments.
Hey, that's not a very cool thing to do. Do you expect us to have grenades to counter? Well, I'll have you know that we have 3 tanks coming on the way, and you may as well just give up.
Psychological warfare here, subterfuge.
That's it. Kills.
We've killed that before.
We also have a 5
Move,
power.
fuck you!
And a colonial scout car just suiciding into the area. Immediately destroyed by overwhelming Warden firepower. Ooh, but colonial shotgunners reholding the position, taking hold of the position.
We got kicked back hard, apparently. Like, we're kicked back to here.
Hey, Ninja. Anka, check what I got.
Hey, if you got med supplies, I'll heal you.
No, I got the grenade. 2 of them,
Alright.
actually.
And another layer of blood deployed onto, applied onto the snow here outside of Callahan's, excuse me, Crumbling Post, Callahan's Passage.
Hey, can someone medic?
Can a medic you?
I'll try to kill you. Right, hey, heal me up. Or not. Don't grab the thing. Okay, start with that. Leave around body.
Warden engineers finally coming forward and just deploying foxholes just outside of the gate. And it is well outside of the range, or within the range, or rather to say under the range, of the howitzers. Again, howitzers, I believe, unless it has been adjusted since last time I was on the field, 75 to 150 meters. Effective range of the howitzer, which means it can be too close to a position. I may have seen the howitzer move.
Go away. Go away.
testimonials opening and closing the gate, taking pot shots of whatever wardens are in the area, including myself. Or at least I'm dressed as a warden, as I'm embedded with the warden forces here west of Whispering Gulch. Well, as the back and forth ensues here at Callahan's Passage, we'll be going to music, but we will be right back with you the moment any major development happens out here on the field. You're tuned to PressCorps.
Like a lot.
Correspondents from across the battlefields of the Foxhole War, this is PressCorps, live from Whispering Gulch, on the western edge of Whispering Gulch, Callahan's Passage. It is day 13, the afternoon of day 13, 15 hours, and Wardens are attempting to regain lost ground here between Crumbling and Whispering Gulch. The Colonials were able, in that last break, able to push forward with an FMG and troops on both sides. Meanwhile, a howitzer, a Colonial howitzer, able to widen the front, widen the combat width, as it was taking down many of the walls comprising of this artificial ravine network of walls between here and Crumbling. Meanwhile, in northern Callahan's Passage, while I was not present there myself to see what quite happened, it seems Callahan's Eye, formerly home to a Warden outpost, was taken out by Colonial forces. I'm not sure if there are Warden or Colonial forces at Callahan's Eye right now, but it does appear to be a no man's land with multiple Warden outposts at Crags Road, the vital crossroads at Crags Road. Meanwhile, Colonials holding on to Solace Gorge Town Hall, their main base of operations in the vicinity. Meanwhile, not much has changed elsewhere in Callahan's as a whole. Solace Gorge, comprising the northwest Overlook Hill, held by Colonials in the central area of the region, rather, and then Crumbling Post as reporting live here in the south. Wardens, meanwhile, attempting to use the daylight to their advantage, pushing back. In the wider campaign, the Deadlands is still holding on for Colonials in that one town hall. It does seem like a concerted defense. While I have not been there myself, it does seem like a concerted defense, considering not much else has happened in that region in terms of town hall back and forth. Meanwhile, the upper heartlands still 100% owned by the Wardens in the area. And then I'm not quite sure if this was an oversight from earlier, or if action had happened while I was here at Callahan's. It seems Weathered Expanse. In South Weathered Expanse, the Colonials hold on to their only town of Northwatch, sandwiched between, well, beyond the Warden line. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but no Colonial reinforcement in the town of Northwatch. Quite curious, considering the Warden held base of the Key in Callahan's to the west, Bullpine Watch in Endless Shore, and the rest of the Warden bases in Weathered Expanse itself, so completely cut off, but they have held on to our refinery and scrapyard. Honestly, as long as the force can hold on to our refinery and scrapyard, the possibilities are endless for defense. And meanwhile, back here, and that was a Colonial medic that I've run into. Thankfully, he didn't fire upon me, so kudos to him for respecting the 4th Estate. Meanwhile, Colonial howitzer firing onto the position as Colonials continue to reconnect their foxhole line outward from Town Hall. Thank you to all our followers and subscribers and all those who are syndicating the broadcast, including War Bonds holder I Saw a Bear. I Saw a Bear. You can find him on YouTube for all sorts of updates into the war, as well as combat footage. Lots of combat footage on YouTube /youtube.com/I Saw a Bear. Just a reminder to our listeners as well, if you've got a war story to share with us, you can send them right into PressCorpsGaming@gmail.com, and we'll read your letters, your war stories live on the air during the broadcast. And Colonials making a fresh push, using the howitzer cover to their advantage onto the Warden attempts at a defensive line. Meanwhile, the FMG, comprising the spearhead, pushing through this ravine of walls. In fact, not much else between me and the Colonial forces. Neither Wardens nor Colonials I consider my enemies. However, considering I am wearing the Warden uniform while I'm embedded with them, they may not take kindly to my presence. Officer Cadet Beautiful China, you're live on the air here on Twitch Radio Services. Do you have any idea what kind of pushes or reactionary moves the Wardens can take.
Press, you're alive again. I thought you were dead. Or lost you for a little.
No, I had to pull back for a music break, but Officer Cadet and Ion Cat, you're live on the air here on Twitch Radio Services. What exactly kind of moves can the Colonials make, considering the Collies have the initiative with both the howitzer cover as well as the field machine gun comprising a spearhead push towards Whispering Gulch?
I doubt their howitzer isn't in range of any of our buildings, so for the most part it's just keeping us from counterattacking. The FMG, they are pushing it fairly well, so they might eventually break through here, but for the most part I'm pretty sure we can hold out for a while.
Indeed, and it looks like
I'm
looks like a Warden howitzer counter battery on to the Colonial push. I don't think it can reach the Colonial howitzer, as you said, but it may be able to hit that FMG we'll be observing here in the back line.
If we destroy that FMG, that would greatly help. We'd be able to push fairly well. And overall, this position at Whispering Gulch is just to kind of pull some of their forces off of Solas and just slow down their attack for the most part.
Now, one has to wonder, the main counter to a field machine gun, considering its relatively slow movement, may be frag grenades. Do the Wardens have any frag grenades?
Frag grenades, but they're going to take a little while to get here. Logistics has been very slow. I don't think this position has been stockpiled in the last, with like any sort of supplies within the last 3 to 4 hours. So we're basically just running off of whatever was put here during our first attack at Whispering Gulch, which is why we're down to less than 70 soldier supplies overall. Things are looking grim unless we get some logistics run up here.
And the Colonial counterattack now swelling to about 15 troops from my estimates. Warden skirmishers attempting to hold them back.
I mean, if you chose a good time to be press reporting, because most of the Colonial counterattacks will happen during the nighttime for Americans, because most of the people on Warden's side are American.
They're pushing up.
So
They're pushing up
strong.
strong.
Yeah, once we get off, then that's when all the Collie clans start coming out, or the Collies in general, and start making their counterattacks.
So Wardens comprise mostly of Europeans, is that correct? From your estimates.
I think probably American-European based audience, because it's 10:23 right now. I live CST time zone in America, and sorry, it's 12:04. My bad. So most Americans are offline by this time, and some Europeans are probably definitely offline by now, or not online right now.
Well, it looks like as the combat width grows for the Collies here, you may have to fall back to this line. This line here at Whispering Gulch, a much thinner position and fairly well fortified considering the early development of the war, just day 13, so no room for major any concrete pillboxes or tier 3 walls. This does seem like a fairly sturdy line if manned.
We don't have it teched up yet. We don't have the tech for those upgrades, I'm pretty sure.
Well, it looks like neither the Colonials do either.
Yeah, thank God. I don't know how we're doing in the tech race, because just like the space race, it is definitely a fucking race for technology, my friend. If there's any way that I can help you in any way, PressCorps, I'll try my best. Poor man disconnected right in front of my eyes.
Well, that's perfectly fine. You don't need to feel attached to me in any way, shape, or form. I'll gladly be following the action, whatever it may be. So, whatever actions you decide to take, I'll be right behind you. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll report on something else. I'm not quite sure.
Medic!
Maybe you'll report on how the logistics is doing.
In the meantime, first action here on the Warden defensive line on the western edge of Whispering Gulch. As the Colonials, and again, 15 plus troops in the area.
Start manning the defenses, start hopping in defenses. Start getting inside these defenses.
And on the south side of the road, it looks like no automation for these defenses. They will have to be manned by Warden troops if they can the fullness of the space. That makes sense. Fullness of the space. Fullness of the defense. Fullness of the width of the defense. Lots of technical terms you can use out here on the battlefield. I'll try not to overwhelm.
Shit show, I tell you. Oh yeah, what is your Twitch name? Then I didn't If that's so.
Well, just look us up on PressCorps on Twitch radio services, and we should come up fairly quickly.
Got it.
Look us up on the phone book there. And as night begins to fall on day 13, the Wardens dig in, sending the occasional skirmisher out onto the field. One has to wonder if the Colonials will decide to move in, well beyond the howitzer on the south side of the scrapyard.
I followed you. I like to watch replays of whatever's happening whenever I go to sleep, so...
Well, thank you very much.
So this is live right now, Press.
You're live on the air.
Hi, Mom.
Sergeant Donnie, S97.
I'm gonna go die young.
Your mom will be proud.
Godspeed.
Well, it looks like not much else has changed in the wider campaign. Callahan's Passage, as we know, a 60-40 split between Wardens and Colonials. Upper Heartlands 100% owned by the Wardens. Deadlands, Colonials still holding on to their only town hall in the area, Liberation Point, although it may be prudent to assume that the Colonials may be spilling out of the town, considering it's their only area of redeployment into the area. Meanwhile, Weathered Expanse, the only town for the Colonials, well behind the line, well beyond Callahan's, well beyond Endless Shore and the Deadlands, Northwatch. The town of Northwatch in southern Weathered Expanse, in the region of Weathered Expanse, it continues to hold steady. Colonials choosing their battles very wisely in terms of which towns they want to hold, or it may be a natural occurrence. In fact, that may be more what's happening. But so long as they have a refinery and 1 or 2 scrapyards to hold on to, any defense can hold on.
Oh no. Medic. Shit, I have a medic if you need it.
The field machine gun now 60 meters away from the Warden line.
Actually, hold on. I'm about to go down. Yeah, make it, Sonny.
Warden's not bringing much to the table other than skirmishers.
I need heals.
Oh, you put you bitch.
Oh, I dropped it.
Yeah, I'm good.
It's quite interesting. It's
Okay.
quite interesting. The Warden's well within range of the howitzer. I'm not sure if they're utilizing it or not, or they may be out of ammo.
Hey, PressCorps, I heard you talking about Deadlands. I might be able to get some.
Oh, you got
I
any
have
bandages?
contacts over there that might be able to get you a sit rep on what's going on there.
If possible.
I'll try and contact it.
Enemies FMGs on the move. Get ready to flank it if it comes close.
Cover me. Cover me. I'm trying to get Sonny.
Warden's not much area of maneuver considering the thin field they've built for themselves. You have Warden barbed wire and colonial walls, coupled with the darkness of night, not able to move as safely as one can think.
Hey, Mr. Bear.
Yes.
You wanted to know how to climb the mountain? I'm going to show you.
Alright, I talked with, do you know the clan
Oh, I have
FFL?
a shotgun, which is probably
Yes, I'm familiar.
right now.
Yeah, it's
They're
probably
the
worth.
people operating
You might
down
want
at
to
Deadlands.
refill
They say
yourself
it's going
with
fairly
a
well at
rifle.
Liberation Point. They
Give me
should be
one
able to get it back
Alright.
Try to
eventually.
shotgun to the right.
They said they're
Move
moving
it on
pretty
right
well.
there. Southwest, west.
Grenade. Oh shit.
Jesus.
That's what's fun.
Alright, so first you hit this spot.
And Officer Cadet, I saw a bear, one of our syndicate members, one of the members who was syndicating our broadcast on his Twitch radio service as well, climbing the mountain on the south side of the road here outside of Whispering Gulch, attempting to gain a flank onto the position.
Pick up his...
Follow me.
Okay. Hey, can someone use this med kit on me?
Now we'll give him hell. Alright, boys.
And a mighty flank on the edge of this cliff.
What's your step reporter? Covering, going in.
And an absolutely huge flank. Total command of the area if the Wardens can take advantage of this position. Second Warrant Officer Sinai, have you been in the area for long, able to take advantage of this flank?
Yeah, I'm keen to discovering all kinds of mountains in this game. Extremely interested to climb them. Especially when it requires an extra toolbox.
You have sights on that FMG over there?
Unfortunately not. I mean, I can barely hit it. But right now they're facing our direction, so it doesn't even make sense to shoot them.
Well, that's certainly one flank denied by Second Warrant Officer Sinai.
I'm actually Cine, if you get.
Cine, excuse me.
Yep.
Cine of the, it's a PGL outfit. What does that stand for?
It's so bound to the Russian language that I can't even explain. It's devoted to a Russian sinner.
And how long has that outfit been around?
I don't know, like 5 days, maybe 10.
Oh, really? Fresh, very fresh.
Yeah, fresh blood.
Raising regiments, always a fascinating aspect of the war most people don't realize.
Yeah, we're actually attempting FCL League this time.
FCL being Foxhole Competition League. Sporting event for those who don't want to participate directly into the war, rather show off their tactical skills.
Yeah.
The Olympics of Foxhole.
Yeah, so unfortunately it's dark right now, so
Right.
we can't see all the guys up there.
And it's going to be dark for quite some time. Night has fallen on day 13, live from Callahan's Passage on the western edge of Whispering Gulch. It's 21:30 hours. Warden skirmishers making their way towards the field machine gun, attempting to get a flank, but it seems the Colonials have managed to place several foxholes down along the road. Question is, Cindy, if the Wardens have the howitzer able to push back the Collies, push back that front line from being established.
Sorry, I can barely hear you.
That's fine, that's fine. You focus on you. And there's the Warden howitzer.
I need to cover this, the west flank.
You have to be very careful. We are right on cliff's edge. Just a wrong move
I think they're a good hit.
could slip me down into the ravine below. But we are following Officer Cadet Nyancat, lead troops forward on the southern flank. South side of the road, of course. And I'm able to see things they quite can't. If they could push in at the very moment, they may be able to attack the foxholes currently being constructed as the field machine gun moves or faces northward, attempting to take down walls, widen the combat. But it looks like the Colonials regretting their decision, either regretting the decision or implementing scorched earth, because now they are widening the combat width, widening the combat zone, tearing down multiple layers of wall. This is no longer three buffer zones as I reported a couple hours earlier, but now one large artificial ravine boxed in by tier 2 walls. between Whispering Gulch and Crumbling Post, we have an artificial gulch of our own. Absolutely peppered with backpacks, blood, and weapons. This is truly a no man's land.
I think I might have shot the driver on the FMG.
I think you might have too, because it is not
Oh
moving.
my god.
Oh shit, out here. Take it out. Hey, can you come on me? Pick up my stuff on my dead body. I have medical supplies. Hurry, holy shit, it's gonna be close to the mansion. Wait, what the fuck? Are they up on the rocks?
Over here.
Oh lordy, oh lordy. I didn't realize
Medic. Oh, you the fucking best. Run.
Cover.
Negative. That's actually a warden.
Wait, was that you up there? Get back here, Press. Get back here, Press.
There is a warden flank on the ravine. There is a warden up there taking command of the area.
You were just going down.
And again, a connection all over the place whenever the battle heats up. So we will attempt to reestablish our connection. Meanwhile, we will go to music. We'll be right